Hi friends, thanks so much for joining me here again. It's Cheyenne with Untitled Apothecary. We are studying pineapple weed for the month of September. It is often called street weed or driveway weed or May weed or wild chamomile. It has lots of different sort of nicknames. But before we get very far into that, I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming here and watching the videos and joining the free Facebook group. And also for all of my paid members. You guys seriously make my world go round. And if you're interested in becoming a paid member, you can check out our website at wisewoodapothecary.com. And then just go under the Herb of the Month Club tab. There's lots of different types of memberships. They all include the same perks. So a little weird, I know, but basically I tried to set it up so that anybody of any financial background can join up to whatever degree they would like. So for paid for memberships, there are you can do month to month, you can do 6-month blocks, you can do annual blocks, you can do renewing memberships that renew every 6 months or every year, or just month to month if that's what you like, or of course the free option. So there's lots of options out there for you. I tried to make it as accessible as possible, and there are lots of perks to paid membership, including the wind in my sails. But anyway, so let's get to pineapple weed. So I wanted to show you this plant. I got it from my driveway, but I figured doing the video in my yard, in my garden, is a little bit more nice looking than just sitting in my driveway. But anyway, so this is pineapple weed, literally, its roots and everything. A lot of people say it's pretty easy to identify, and I will agree with you, but for any kind of untrained plant enthusiast, this can look very close to chamomile, which isn't a bad thing because they're siblings pretty much. So they share a lot of the same medicinal components, and they share a lot of the same edibility as well. In fact, I may be so bold as to say that I prefer pineapple weed over chamomile. I find it to be a little bit sweeter, a little bit more aromatic, and just kind of tastes better. So, one of my favorites. Okay, so I just wanted to show you, first of all, the difference between flowers. So, right here is a pineapple weed flower. It's hard to show on the camera, but you'll see. Then we've got the chamomile flower. So again, hard to show on the camera. Now, what you'll see is that, yes, the flower heads, because they're both in the aster family, so both the discs here are very similar looking. When this one is ripe, it'll be a lot more yellow. But the main difference here is that chamomile has these white rays on the outside and pineapple weed has none. So that is one of the main differentiating things between chamomile and pineapple weed, is the presence of the rays. Now, for those that don't know, the aster family plants like daisy, sunflower, chamomile, yarrow, things like that, while this may look like it's one flower, it is actually like 100 little teeny flowers. So all of these little teeny specks in the middle, those are all individual little flowers that are fertile for reproducing. Now, the outer ones that have the rays or the petals, those ones are infertile, so they're sterile, and they are there basically to help be the advertisement to the rest of the flower. So all of them work together to get pollinated and to produce food for pollinators. So they both kind of work together. Now, on pineapple weed, it is the same sort of system, except that it doesn't have the outer petals as rays. So there's that, main difference there. Now, the leaf is almost indiscernible. You got to be kind of really picky about it. These look pretty similar. I know it's a little bit tough to see on the camera there, but it is picking it up a little. They're pretty similar. Now, this teeny tiny one here is pineapple weed. This slightly bigger one here is chamomile. So they look very similar. And really, unless you really know what to look for, I wouldn't use the leaves to differentiate the two. I would actually use the scent and the flower. So the scent is that pineapple weed smells like pineapples. It's very delicious. It is one of my best, turn to plants in terms of wanting to calm down, especially out when I'm hiking with kids, for example, and they get a little out of hand or too rambunctious. I might grab some pineapple weed, and I actually just take some in my hands, kind of bruise it up, roll it a little bit, so it's like just roll, and then I do what I call the gas mask, which is and just like breathe it in. Now, do not do that if you have an aster family allergy. Pineapple weed is in the aster family, so if you have a known allergy to the aster family, you do not want to be taking deep mouthfuls of it or eating it or drinking it or doing anything with it. So if you don't know, one of the easiest things you can do is take some of the plant, kind of mash it up a little bit, which the fancy word is called muddle, and then you kind of rub that into the inside of your wrist, and you watch to see if you get any hives, itching, burning, rashes, like anything, welts, anything like that. If you do get any sort of reaction, don't eat it, don't use it, just stay away from it. If everything is fine, then you can maybe try a little nibble on some of it and see how you do there. Now, no matter whether or not you are allergic, you gotta be careful about where you're getting pineapple weed, because obviously it grows in kind of neglected, poor, compacted soils like driveways, pathways, alleys, trails, things like that, which can make it easy to find, but also makes it easy to contaminate. So highway runoff, pesticide runoff, if there was a recent flood and the pineapple weed has come up in that area, I'd be very careful about it. I actually probably wouldn't use it because of all the sediment from the flood. So it pretty much grows everywhere. And it also likes to grow alongside where dogs like to pee and poop. So definitely make sure when you're dealing with any plant below about waist level, you gotta consider the fact that it could be marked. And if you're eating it and going along just fine and all of a sudden you taste a really salty patch, it was peed on. So, hate to break it to you, but it's true. Anyways, pineapple weed has a lot of medicinal value. Most people don't know that and would turn to chamomile instead, but they do have similar attributes. So both good for upset stomachs, both good at helping to relax. So they're called a nervine, so help relax the nervous system before bed, for example, if you have a little bit of hard time falling asleep. Great for upset stomachs. I find my kids prefer pineapple weed over chamomile, and even over peppermint, which is shock and awe for me. I used to have to hide everything in peppermint to get them to have it, and now I can use pineapple weed either with peppermint or on its own, and they can appreciate that, so that's good. So pineapple weed can be you can use the whole plant, but generally speaking, it is the flowers that are used or the leaves. The leaves do have just a touch more bitterness to it, so I would say like in a tea where you're having a little bit of digestive upset, that's when I would put the leaves in as well as the flowers. If you're, wanting just the flavor, for example, to work the flowers into muffins, for example, you actually have to try to remove as much of the green on it as you can. So I would just pinch off like right underneath. Oh, it's really hard to see. Right underneath, and take off all the green bits so that you're not getting any bitterness in there. So good. In muffins it's really good. I've tried it in pancakes, which is pretty tasty. But actually one of my favorites is in stir fries. I love it in stir fries, especially if you're doing like a sweet and sour sort of pineapple-y based stir fry anyways, then it is a really good one. So yeah, it is very accessible. It does look like chamomile. It does have differences from chamomile. It does have medicinal value. It does have edible value, but you do need to be very careful about where you're harvesting it from in terms of contamination and pollution. But you also need to be watchful of allergies. So for example, I wouldn't load up, let's say, a lasagna dish with pineapple weed and serve it to a whole group of people who have not had any interactions with aster family plants before, because then you might come up with some allergic reactions. So allergies to the aster family are very common, so definitely watch out for it, and just do a little test first before you really start kind of incorporating it into other people's diets especially. So if it's safe for you, doesn't necessarily mean it's safe for everybody. So definitely just check for allergy, unless you already know about it, in which case don't eat it. Yeah, so let me know if you guys have any questions at all, either about pineapple weed or the Herb of the Month Club. You can leave me a comment below. You can private message me. You can email me at wisewoodapothecary@gmail.com. Yeah, and like I said, we could really use some more paid members, so definitely get involved in whatever capacity that you can. And if you have any feedback or anything, definitely let me know. I'm always open to your plant suggestions on what we should study next, so leave a comment about that if you want. And otherwise, subscribe to stay in the loop. Thanks so much. Have a good day.